I've barely taken my seat, folks, and you started a tremendous round of applause. You took me by surprise. I thought I had at least a few more seconds to get comfortable. Anyway, I am here now as it's a new year, too. It is now the year 2022 of the planet
Gracious.
Earth. I don't know which alternate reality or simulation you're in. It may be a very strangely different year. But here on planet Earth, last days of planet Earth, it's
Yeah.
2022. And
Yeah.
as you can see, we're putting a virtual finger on the button there to start it up. Yeah. I've actually been wishing people a brave new year, as in brave new world. I thought it far more appropriate to say happy new year when most of the people I know are far from happy. So
Mm.
yeah, what the hell? What the hell? Do it my way. Brave new world to all of you out there. For those of you who don't know, my name's Mal Burns, and the chap you see on the screen next to me is James Atlloud. You can find me on Twitter at twitter.com/malburns, Malburns. That's two words squashed to one. Or alternatively, a more lightweight feed for virtual worlds at twitter.com/Metaworld News, named after guess which television show. Yeah, I do. You haven't had a clue. I know. Anyway, and yes, and so most of the links to things I talk about here, if not all of them, will turn up in one of those feeds, usually the Mal Burns feed at the top there. Right now, normally I say this is the news headlines for the week ending the 2nd of January 22, but it's actually the 14 days ending 2nd of January 22. Like the last show we had, that was a 2-weeker job.
It was.
Obviously, it's been a holiday, and obviously nothing much has been happening, at least not things that are relevant to this show. There's been plenty of all sorts of rubbish happening, but not for this show. So, putting together the links this week, I realised that even over 2 weeks, I haven't actually put many up. So, we've maybe be a bit more leisurely this week. Anyway, as I said, the gentleman sitting next to me here is none other than James Atlloud. Welcome, James.
Oh, thank you, Mal. Here we are again, another year.
Another year, another double. And
Yeah.
seems to me, unless I've gone blind or something, but looking behind my head in the monitor, it seems to me that you're not so loud today.
Oh, not so loud. No, I have a very would you say demure turtleneck shirt?
Demure, yes,
Yeah,
indeed. It's a
yeah.
polo neck, isn't it? Yeah.
But I thought it was lovely, and it was from a new designer that I haven't featured before. So I put up
Ah,
on the screen Gadiel White Store, and it's a just a wonderful turtleneck. I feel very warm and comfy in the
yeah.
winter climb.
Yeah, and of course you got the hat to match. Are
Yep.
you? Is your organic operator in a winter climate at the moment?
Oh yes, yes. I look out my window and I see 4 inches of the white stuff on the ground.
Oh, beautiful,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
hopefully sunshine to go with it.
And sunshine, very sunny today,
Yeah.
which is lovely.
Well, yesterday here in the UK was New Year's Day, of
Mhm.
course. Yeah.
Mhm.
It was the hottest New Year's Day since recorded time, apparently.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I swear, if I didn't know better, I would be rushing to switch off all my central heating, thinking that summer's here.
Wow.
Um, and it's been this way, not just yesterday, but on Friday and I think Thursday a bit too.
Mhm.
And apparently on Tuesday we will be back to winter because the winds are going to start coming from the Arctic again. But at the moment they're blowing straight upwards from the Mediterranean towards us,
Oh,
and the arrows on the weather map are just coming straight up. I think today they moved to a sort of southwesterly angle slightly, but only
okay.
slightly.
Mhm.
So all this orange stuff on the map is blowing over us.
Wow.
But on Tuesday, there's a blue lot with the arrows coming down, and they meet somewhere, and then
Yeah.
slowly we get back to freezing. So we'll be happier then.
Well, I
Of
saw a
course,
story on news here locally that the good wine grapes are starting to grow in the UK and are leaving France. So, you know, are things changing? It seems so.
it's mild, and the the leaves on the big trees outside my window here, normally at this time of year it's become very skeletal, and it has,
Mm-hmm.
but not not quite the same way as I normally expect it. I
Mm.
can't even remember there being much of an autumn where the wet leaves were on the ground,
Yeah.
and you were
Yeah.
slipping and sliding when you walked down the road. But there again, lockdown might account for that, not noticing that.
Yep.
Anyway, yeah. So I've been sweltering like midsummer. Well, I say midsummer. I mean, if I didn't actually have winter heating on, it probably wouldn't feel that hot. But
Okay.
suddenly it's a matter of throwing off all the bedclothes. Doesn't feel right at this time of year. I feel like I should be in all the fleeces.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's not happening. Anyway, enough of me. This is a problem of operating organics.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
we could just go into suspended animation and will ourselves into the virtual space.
Into our perfect
But
3D worlds. That's right.
yes, except then the world will stop and the satellites would crash and the the servers would go down.
Right. Right.
And all we'd be left with will be God Emperor Zuckerberg in his underground bunker in Iceland, where
Mm.
his servers are. But anyway, less said about that, the better. Okay, and for readers at home, who are actually also viewers at home, if you see what or listeners at home, depending on how you're doing it, James, of course, is also the man with the knobs, where he can fiddle with different pictures of me on screen, different positions for my avatar. He can also bring you my desktop and, well, all sorts of audiovisual feastery. Not we've got much of it this week, but
Mm-hmm.
nevertheless, it's there. It's there. Okay, and one of those features is to show you the old picture on screen. So as you can see, or we'll see when we get round to it, I've got a little slide up at the moment, which is just
A
one of those
thermostat. Right.
one of those many slides that turned up in the new year, and I just like the idea of press the button and start the new year. So maybe it is a thermostat. As far as I can tell, it could be any old button, to be honest. Just press the button and start. But while I got the pictures up, there aren't many. I'm just going to show you a few others. This one, I don't have your post for this. So basically, the idea of showing you this particular picture is that it's an ad basically for Rec Room, which you can now
Mm-hmm.
get on the iPad and the iPhone for that matter. You can also get it on Steam already, PlayStation, Xbox, Rift, Quest, and everything, Android. But you can now get it on Apple's iOS system too. So as it says there, rec.net recnet/download, and that's where you can go and get it. I forget where this screenshot came from, but if you find that ad on the web, you can also click the thing that says view in the App Store, and it would take you to the App Store where you can buy it. But anyway, a little plus point there. Rather well-known chap. His name is Brian Eno. He's been around a while.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Great killer in ambient music. Lending his name to the non-fungible trinket thing, and all he can say is, right now I mainly see hustlers looking for suckers. I think that fairly
Sounds
upfront
about
remark.
right.
Eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. And this one. I don't know who came up with this one, but it's probably one of the platform, pretenders to the title of Metaverse or something. Happy New Meta Year. And it came from somebody, but probably fortunately, I don't know who at the moment. But it's quite a novel idea, isn't it? If you can have a meta anything, you might as well have a meta year.
And who's
Except,
who's in the cowboy hat? Is it anybody we recognize?
well, it's a clown figure, isn't it? No, not as I recognise. It's
All
just
right.
I don't know, it just stood out to me, and I thought, oh, I'll grab that and
All
show it
right.
off to
All right.
somebody.
The year of the
And,
metaverse, they say.
and then finally, the one that I actually chose to be our opening shot here, really, just a bit of fireworky.
Hmm.
Um, I think I had a video version of this, but if it is video, it doesn't work in this view. It'll probably work in my other one. So without any further ado, we'll put that away. Just one less item to have open on screen. And let's. What else have I got up here before we go into? Here we are. This is a nice little video. think that music is almost worthy of a nick too. But no, that was just a musical card for the New Year too. It didn't actually feel. It should have actually had the date on it somewhere to give the feel of a New Year card. But anyway, I thought that was rather nice. So I've got a few more videos later, but now, um, uh, yes, I'm going to go into our links. So as I said, these links are basically. They're all a bit jumbled up this week. There aren't actually super many of them, but they cover the last 14 days in terms of news about. I dread to use the M word, of course, but shall we say virtual spaces, virtual worlds, immersive spaces, and interfacing and everything, everything other than the M word, as it were. Right, and my watch has just told me it's the M word review, which is not. Oh, 30 minutes to the inward review.
Oh
God,
my. That
remember the
goes back
days.
a day. Yeah,
Remember the days when we got
I
the news
do.
into 20, into 20 minutes before the inward review. It looks like my calendar's rebooted itself for the new year too.
Okay. Well,
Everything goes weird on the new year. Um, what the heck? 85. Oh, so let's just say my Apple Watch is celebrating the new year in a way that I don't understand, but very actively. Right, okay, get back on track here. Right, okay. So my first link is posted. This was December 22nd, so that figures it is about 14 days ago. Somnium Space revealed a modular VR headset. Somnium Space, of course, is yes and no, this newer wave of virtual worlds, if you can call it that. There, or obviously with aspirations to be a greater metaverse, as everybody else. This post is at vrscout.com, vrscout.com, and yeah, they give it a kind of review and tell you a little bit about it there, including the specifications. We can see there. I don't. Oh yeah, now there is. Well, I'll leave it to go for you to go here if you're interested. There is a sort of embedded video here, but it's more about Somnium Space than it is about the headset, if I recall. And as you can see, it's tiny. It's the embedded code is a bit weird. It plays at a very small size, so we'll see. Anyway, you'll find this one at vrscout.com, and not much more I can say about that. But if you're a dedicated follower of all things helmety, then there's another one for you to look at, read about, buy. Who knows? I don't know what you want to do with them. Right, remove that item. And we'll move to the Guardian newspaper, which is a national newspaper here in Britain. Yeah, they had a nice headline. It's Christmas in the metaverse. Welcome to your Zuckerbergian nightmare.
Nice.
I was thinking earlier today, and I better come up with it now actually, because I haven't got a prompt anywhere else. But there is a thing from Scott Ghost later about kids and stuff. But there have been quite a lot. I don't know that they've taken over the high street, but I mean, there's been a boom in sales of, shall we say, helmets, 3D helmets, for over a holiday period, as you might suspect. Every kid wants presumably the one that sells out is the Oculus one, which is now called the Quest, or the Meta. No, the Meta Quest. That's what it's called now, isn't it? Right. Which you used to go on the Meta Quest. Except it's not a Meta Quest. It's what do I call it? The M word. Forgotten what it's called now. Metaverse. That's it. Oh, wow. Bring on the day when I forget that dreaded word completely. Right, but I remembered it again. Okay, something that occurred to me is that not nearly all these kids, they don't have a teen grid or anything like that in Zuckerberg's world. You just all dive in, and the younger you are, the better, because then you can make a nuisance of yourself to any adults that are trying to use it seriously. What a great marketing ploy that was. But and got the tweets I'm hearing from people, let's go here, let's go here, let's go everywhere, anywhere other than Oculus Quest, because they are getting pissed off with the kids that are now invading. And of course, what have Meta done? In response, well, they've expanded it to even more users. Age, no, no preferred age at all. However, something else that occurred to me, which might be a bit more interesting, is that remember we had lots of other headsets, including the original Oculus, but also Google tried it with first Google Cardboard, then Daydream and stuff like that. And we just talked to Maria or somebody like that who used to seem to have about 20 different headsets every week. But they're all basically variations on cardboard or something you slotted your phone into. The thing is, and even Facebook's own Go Apple, all these headsets, after a few days' use, they end up on shelves collecting dust. Yeah, 2 years worth of dust in the case of my Go, I think now. And this isn't just me. This is quite a usual thing. And I'm actually wondering, because I think this is something that statistically I'd be really interested in, is with the boom in sales of the, particularly the Quest, for the holiday and mostly for kids, what, after a spring and especially a summer goes by, how much of these devices will they actually still be using? I'm talking about the kids that have heard about it and want it, rather than dedicated VR people who know before they buy it what it is. And it'd be interesting to see. It'd be almost a test of whether, after novelty wears off, people actually really want to wear the darn things. And especially kids, because you have to be very, as Scar Ghost mentions in a minute or two, we have to be very clear or careful with what we're just, they say a dog is not just for Christmas. Well, they need care and attention. And it strikes me that any kid with a helmet at the moment probably needs an awful lot of care and attention. Well, attention, definitely. Anyway, that's just my little comment, which has reminded me of this. Anyhow, this is the Guardian newspaper, and their idea, a little bit of review of the platform, and basically, a concise introduction to the layman, all about the Zuckerbergian nightmare, as it's best known as. Right. Moving on from that one. You need the site there, don't you? It's theguardian.com, theguardian.com. And it's available international. It's not just here in Britain. That's where you'll find it. And the post itself, I guess, is about a week ago or something. Right. It's alive. Sansar at YouTube. Oh, right. Okay. I don't need it in my other bit. Okay. Right, I'm not actually going to go for all of this, to be honest. We'll just show you what I can fit into that window there. This is Isabel Sharon. She does a lot of video blogs and stuff, mostly from the Second Life, but a few from here in Sansar. And she was one of the people that got caught out by the news that somebody posted that Sansar had gone. Basically, Sansar, and this is where we're filming from now, in fact. Probably due to Amazon Web Services being down. It was offline for a while. Nobody's really said the real reason, but a lot of people were sort of doom and glooming all over the place on Facebook and Twitter and everything else. And within a couple of hours, it was back. Basically, it had gone offline, but it hadn't actually gone anywhere. So the platform is now back. And Isabel probably had to post this video. Features sitting in her sitting room somewhere in Sansar.
Do you know what? I learned something today. Never believe what bloggers write. Bloggers were writing that Sansar was dead. Well, I'm sorry, it's back. Enjoy the show.
Touch me, I go on my mind.
Right, we get a whole load of winter stuff thereafter. But, Her name is Isabel Sharon. As I say, mostly Second Life stuff, but I love her manner. She's wonderful. ISABELLE space SHEREN on YouTube, and she does post. If you follow Metaworld News' Twitter, then I tend to post anything she does on the SoundCloud there as well. So put that away. I just had to show you that. Okay, we've done that one, haven't we? Right. As I say, it's a short list this week. I can't believe this. So I can't believe I got a list that doesn't go under the screen for once. Right, okay, a year in review, of course. We get lots of them at this time of year. This is about the biggest AR and VR stories of 2021. And this is at uploadvr.com. The same people who actually do the download VR video, of course. uploadvr.com. And yeah, this is their biggest stories, basically. Bit of headset there, a bit of the unmentionable there, and two mysterious avatar looking cartoons there. Right, looking back on the year that was for the biggest stories. I'm not going to read out them all. This is why you want to go to read their blog. They talk about Beat Saber, Hitman. Remember, they cover games as well. Quest 2 developers. Oculus App Lab, Sony, PS5, blah, 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 March, whatever. Increase in Facebook's workers working on VR, AR. Of course, they work for Meta now. I wonder if they know that. They probably were told. Yeah, and so on and so forth. So I'm not going to read it all out. Obviously, you've got a whole year of what they consider the biggest stories there. But this is the time of year when people seem to like back going on a journey into the past, even if it's only 12 months. Many people, of course, will prefer to go back more than 24 months into the past when things were nice in the world. But no such luck. They're only taking about 12 months for that particular article. Right, moving on. So that was uploadvr.com. Moving down the list, and this is where we often start, because if we were only actually going back to last Monday, then this would be the starting point. This is thescarredghost.com. I think we need a sound effect for this. I'm forgetting our noises this week. Yeah, thescarredghost.com. SKARREDGHOST.com. And he has his XR Wheat Beak every Monday, without fail, unless it happens to be a bit late on Tuesday. Yeah, you get the idea. Anyway, this was last week, so it was right in the middle of the holiday thing, really. Saying it had been a great Christmas for Quest 2. That's the helmet I was talking about, where a lot of people have probably got one. Maybe people who didn't want one have got one. Anyway,
I think that's true because I think one of the reasons for the big sale is that it was hard to get Xboxes and PS5s. They just weren't in stock. So I think many parents of young children said, "Well, let's get them a Quest. That's all we can get."
Yeah. Yeah. And the parents were suckers for the hype, but the kids aren't interested. That would be a good one.
Right.
Anyway, Rec Room, which I mentioned earlier, is on the iOS now. They had what do we call it? Went public or whatever, and they're now they've got investment and everything for growing their metaverse, which is bound to be a bit better than anything Zuckerberg thinks so. They're worth $3.5 billion US, so they've got themselves into a pretty good position there. Anyway, obviously, like everybody else, his post here is to wish you happy holidays, and he's adopted the word Christmas verse. He says. Right, how many verses are there? Actually, I did see a reference, which is almost I quite liked. It was as if in a fictional reference, you've got, say, two people who are in a room or reality somewhere, and they want to go to do something in what is laughingly called the metaverse, but in a future, it would simply be referred to as the apostrophe verse. In other words, we're going to, in the same way, neighborhood is referred to as the hood. The metaverse will just be referred to as the verse. And Zuckerberg can keep his mess a bit. Sorry, I was just getting that one in, could he? Okay, but yeah, that was quite interesting. I quite like the fact that I might be able to write something fictional and say, "Oh, I'll meet you in the verse," but then then give you the landmark. Okay, yeah, Oculus had a great Christmas. Of course it did, and yeah, here's a piece about 145 million US dollars is a new investment for Rec Room. But that brings their total capital is to 3.5 billion. So the actual new investment, 145 million, sounds fairly inconsequential against 3.5 billion. But anyway, who knows? So they're doing quite well. And then he has his look back on the year, like everybody else has done, really. And of course, being a Scar Ghost, I mean, I almost wish I was reading this out because it would fill out the program. Scar Ghost is guaranteed to do long, involved posts, but very much a good read here anyway. I'm not going to go into it all, but SKARREDGHOST.com. Right, so move that item. Right, the VRARA.com, THEVRARA, that is the VRAR Association.com, if you see what I mean. Anyway, they've got a new report out, avatars and metahumans, and featuring the best companies. Now, as an association, they are very concerned with being an association of enterprise players in the field. So there's nothing particularly consumer orientated here, but it's just all very interesting stuff with their projections and stuff like that, because they're not promoting any one platform. They are making comments as an association with all the, everybody from Zuckerberg is probably in it somewhere, but they've also got, Sony and the Kronos Group and, loads of people. Yeah, just a kind of little roundup from them, actually, which is, if you're interested in the industry from an industry point of view, then it could be a useful little roundup from you. So that's the VRAA. THEVRARA. It's easier to spell than pronounce. Right, okay, moving down, and we're back to the Skull Ghost again. And this was the post I mentioned earlier when we were looking at, helmets on the kids. There is one, indeed. Virtuality should acknowledge its kids issue, he said. His tweet on this has been posted all over the place, including, people messaging him saying, right on, this is an issue we need to talk about. And Quest 2 had its greatest day on the Xmas Day. Basically, many people received the Quest as a gift, and we all developers saw a big spike in sales of our products that day. And he says his Twitter timeline on the 25th and 26th of December was filled with videos of kids unwrapping Quest 2 and being super happy about it. He says he was very happy to see those scenes, but at the same time he had a big question popping up in his head. But isn't VR supposed to be forbidden till 13, 14 years old? I had heard that. It's basically never been recommended for use by, pre-teens. But apparently it's definitely an influx of pre-teens who've got one now. So, he goes into it in quite a depth here. I mean, not just, just looking at all aspects of the issue. Let's all acknowledge the issue and solve it. As they look at those screaming bloody kids. No wonder you don't want to go into Zuckerberg world anymore. Right. Okay. So looking at teenagers too. We've got a whole load of stuff there. So that's yet another blog for you to read at thescarghost.com, SKARREDGHOST.com, and let's hear it again for the ghosts. Yeah. For those of you who've just tuned in, this is actually our New Year's show, not our Halloween show.
That doesn't stop the ghost from howling, though.
It doesn't. It doesn't stop us.
That's right, the ghost.
Yeah. There was I forget what it was. There was something that popped up in the news yesterday, or was it Friday, to do with the new year. And I was tempted to retweet it. So it was totally irrelevant to me, so I didn't. But I was tempted to retweet it and say, by the way, it's the Christmas holiday, not April 1st, because whatever it was just made me think disbelief it was April 1st or something. Okay, so anyway, this is the Skull Ghost again. And moving forward, we're getting right up to date here, really. This week in XR, this is the Charlie Fink thing. I don't actually think there was one last week. This was the one that came out, I guess it was Friday this week. And oh, what is this? Maybe this is an earlier one. As I say, it's all got a bit mixed up this week. So it's beginning to look a lot like Questmas. Well, I mean, that was inevitable from Charlie Fink. I mean, it's issues like that that sent him preoccupy him. Rec Room's funding again, and also 30 million in funding, US dollars in funding for Ready Player Me's Avatar system.
Yeah.
They're in 1,000 different platforms already. Wolf 3D are the ones who made it, and as this points out, they definitely got there first. There's been a couple of others doing the same thing popping up. Make your own avatar and we'll get it into all the half a dozen worlds for you. I think Ready Player Me are rather ahead.
Very impressive, yeah.
Yeah, and they do it. My first one I got from them, I did it from a selfie and I thought it looked deceptively simple. The skin was smooth. It didn't have the detailed realism that I expected of a custom-made one. But actually, the more I looked at it, the more I realised it was me. It was definitely my face. It's. I suppose you just have to think of it as your face being airbrushed in a sort of way. It's captured the essence, not the full physical, dimension, but certainly the essence of what I look like. So, very pleasing, and apparently they've improved it now. In fact, I'm tossing up where to go and get an improved one from them, or to take up a friend of mine who's made an offer to the conference the other week. He offered to update my mesh avatar, which is of course one I use in multiple worlds. Anyway, so Space Metaverse has also been grabbing money, $7 million to build virtual worlds for arts and commerce. Mystic Moose. I don't think I would. Would you invest $5 million in something called Mystic Moose? No. It's a browser-based suite of interconnected games. Oh, boy.
Fortunately, I don't have $5 million, so the question is moot.
Yeah. Even if you had, I don't think you'd be tempted somehow. A few interesting things that I wouldn't have covered there. For example, he mentions that Beidou ended the new year with a launch of something called XI Rang. I think I've got that coming up in a second. There we are. BBC's technology correspondent Mark Cieslak breaks down the metaverse. Now, this is a pretty good one because I don't know whether I saw that at all. BBC is the UK after all. I don't think I did, because it says it features MetaVR's Andrew Bosworth and Microsoft's Alex Kipman. But I did see a BBC show about a week ago by accident on their news channel. It's called Click. And I think it broadcasts twice a week, but it's a repeat of the same one. And there's a couple of condensed edits as well that they fill up the news channel with. And the whole programme was a half hour devoted to what they were obviously calling the metaverse. But they didn't do a half bad job trying to explain it to people. Unfortunately, they didn't rely on, video clips provided by, who. They covered a bit of a range of stuff, actually. And I'm actually, if you go to BBC Online's player or wherever you are, I'm pretty sure that the Click program is available all over the world. on a free-to-play basis. So just remember, click. That's the thing you do with your mouse. Click. And yeah, BBC Click called, and it's on the news channel. Right. Okay. So that's Charlie Fink's a roundup. Latest roundup, that is. Let's remove that one. Oh god, we're down to nothing now. Right. This is pandaily.com. pandaily.com. And this actually mentions the launch of this XI Rang from a company called Beidou. I think they're Chinese basically, but this represents a big move. I suppose this is the Zuckerberg move in China, basically. I gather there's a huge launch involved here, although of course being China, they don't report on these based on financial investments, because the finances, the things themselves are more important than the finances, if you see what I mean. But Beidou's is one of the most hyped tech trends, the metaverse, they say. The Chinese government have been very odd about the metaverse. They've actually been suggesting to a lot of their citizens that they don't use the metaverse, but I think that is probably they don't want you to go into Zuckerberg's one. So they obviously need to have their own to be keep the Chinese young engaged and in line. If you think Zuckerberg is scary, I suspect Chinese have even scarier things in the works. But anyway, it's called Z-Rang. I imagine translated into English that has a meaning, but I don't know what it is. But anyway, you'll find this, as you say, you'll find this information at Pandaily, pandaily.com. And there have been other reports of this all over the place too. So if you want a bit more of an American view on its stuff, you'll find it in other places, the news item. All right, move on now. Back to the Skull Ghost again. Give Tony a how. Tony, if you're watching, we're doing you proud today. Right, okay. He has a post about a company called B Haptics who've announced the Tact Glove consumer haptic glove. Since about a couple of weeks ago, he'd had another glove company, but this basically B Haptics is a Korean company, and these are fully consumer-orientated devices. And the Tact Glove is a wireless glove for haptic feedback. And I don't know where he mentions it here, but I did read somewhere that it seems to be astonishingly cheap. Yeah, here we are. They also do haptic suits and other stuff as well as the glove, and you can buy and sell what you need. So you can buy gloves, you can buy helmets, you can buy vests, all of which are haptic things. And their cheapest haptic suit for the torso, right, not the gloves, is $300, which is not a very high price, he says, which I tend to agree with, I think. I guess it's probably not quite the same thing as wearing a full mocap outfit, but what the hell. So anyway, it's looking at the gloves here. There's an inner and outer layer to it and all sorts of stuff. He loves getting into detail with these things. And they're unveiling it publicly at CES, which is I think CES may be on already, but apparently there's nobody there this year because of the pandemic. Right. Everybody's pulling out, and I haven't actually seen any sort of online video consumption for it, but I've seen a few reports about things that have been demonstrated there. I'm just not quite sure how many are being demonstrated to, so to speak, or how many have actually gone through. But anyway, so that's the Skull Ghost on the haptic gloves, and a fairly thorough look at them too, as we expect from Tony. Right, the final link of the week. Says James. What shock horror? What's happened?
40 minutes. Oh my.
Well, we got video yet. Right, what is presence in VR and why is it so important? Well, that's a very good question. I always, when I was asked about virtual reality or virtual worlds, I often told people, it's about presence. You have an avatar. It may be a cartoon or it may be photorealistic, and but you're in a world with other people. But unlike a chat room or a video conference, you can collaborate. You can do things. It is totally about presence. And actually, I've introduced a few people to places like Second Life earlier on who were out of there like a shot. But the reason they were out of there like a shot were they were the very people that did not want to. They got such a shock when they realised they were in the middle of a crowd of real people. Whilst they thought they were cartoons, it was fine. But when it clicked that these were real people trying to talk to them, they ran a mile. They didn't want to be, shall we say, present, at least not in a room with people. I mean, unless you're expecting, and I suppose it is a culture shock, but anyway. So this actually, there's nothing too spectacular here. What was interesting about this article is that when I saw an article like this, I thought, well, this has always been the case with, what is presence in virtuality, and we talk all about Second Life, but in fact, this article is talking about helmets or headgear, but it's coming to pretty much the same conclusion. Modern virtuality's big profile was the ability to create presence, a feeling of being in a place other than where you are, and of course I would out there and with other people who are real people, even if they look like avatars. Achieving presence was a long and difficult process, but it's the secret sauce that makes modern VR magical. It says there. Right. Yeah. So it goes on about definitions and stuff and how your brain gets tricked into various things, and so on and so forth. So you will find this at How to Geek. HowToGeek.com. HowToGeek.com. They have quite a lot of interesting posts there. That's why it comes up quite a lot. But How to Geek. Funny old name. Probably gets a lot of traction. Okay, so that's all the main sort of feeds, and which brings us to what I call the video section. And I have a feed at Mastodon, which is mastodon.social/@Metaworld, and but all these get relayed to my Twitter feed as well. So if you follow in the Twitter feed I gave you earlier, you will find these come up there too. It's just they relay through to this list. Obviously, over the course of time, we've got a F Reality podcast. This says 3 hours ago, but I only got around to posting this morning. And this was another one from earlier in the week, Upload VR, what will 22 bring, etc. And also this morning, now, this is rather, I've got to promote this one. This is just unbelievable. Kent Bai, Voices of VR, of course. I interviewed him just over a year ago at our Open Sim conference, and 50 minutes was just barely enough to get started. Well, he's actually been interviewed by an astrology podcast of all things, but don't get this wrong. This is serious stuff. This interview they couldn't stop for 5 hours. And really, it doesn't let up. I've been glued to this for about 2.5 hours this morning before I had to stop and get this show ready. I couldn't stop. It's well filmed, it's engaging. Basically, the astrology part, apparently long before his interest in virtual world, Kent Bai had a kind of thing about astrology. And this is almost, I know it says astrology, but I think they should have called this virtuality and philosophy, because the show goes everywhere. They talk about anything and everything. And the interviewer obviously has this thing about conjunction of the outer planets, tying in with events in the real world, and they go back to talk about the Gutenberg printing press and other landmark things, and also in technology strides between 1960s and 72, then a minor jump again in the 80s, and then the current giant jump now. But if you think it all sounds weird, sort of. Oh, God, Siri, please stop. Blasted watch again. Well, be sorry if you want. I don't care. Right. Talkative witch. Go away. Right. Okay, I must have said something that sounded like the S word. Right. Anyway, this just totally captivated me. I mean, I've got to play you a bit, but I can't. If only to just get you.
Hey, my name is Chris Brennan, and you're listening to the Astrology Podcast. Today is Saturday, December 18th, 2021, starting sometime just after 2 p.m. in Denver, Colorado, and this is the 234th episode of the show. Today I'm going to be talking with Kent Bai about astrology and virtual reality, and Kent is the host of the Voices of Virtual Reality podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show here, Chris.
Yeah, thanks for flying out to Denver. So you're actually my first guest that I've flown out to Denver in order to do this interview in person. So thanks a lot for joining me today.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here.
So we're going to talk about astrology and virtual reality today and the interaction between those two fields and the ways...
1960s, 1972.
Okay. So we find one of the interesting things that you find and emphasize is the first initial prototype, essentially in 1968, of virtual reality.
Yeah, and you look at it, and it was really kind of ahead of its time in a lot of ways, but kind of taking, this breakthrough innovation. And then the paper that he wrote from 1965, that was actually what Jaron Lanier discovered back in the 90s, and kind of rediscovering some of that work that happened in the 60s. And so that was kind of the next wave that had started from, from 1985 into.
So part of it, though, is the idea of having an embodied experience, and the difference, like we were using Zoom as an example of two people talking over Zoom versus two people talking in person. And what is the difference between those two things? And what is the gap, or potentially the gap in between those two things, virtual reality being the middle point between them?
Well, I think that there's certain ways in which one-on-one conversations start to be pretty close in terms of the types of things you get from Zoom versus when you're face-to-face. But when you're face-to-face, you get more of a vibe of somebody's energy, and
right.
There's larger context that is set up that you have come together.
And that's what we're doing right here. So let's talk about that. I mean, this is one of the first. I've had other people in the studio since the pandemic since we're starting to get into a stage with the vaccines and stuff, that I've been comfortable when, for example, Rick Levine traveled through town, having him over to do an interview in person. And I set up this studio originally 2 years ago, before the pandemic, with the hope of doing more in-person interviews, partially because I can get better audio and video quality, but also partially because there's difference in the dynamic of the conversation between two people when they're actually sitting in a room together versus when you're over Zoom and you have that like slight, maybe even imperceptible
deep questions of like, how does divination, tarot, or astrology work? And as I've looked into the mechanics of some of those things, what I've come to is to look at, Aristotle had the four causes, where there's material cause and efficient cause, which is like the physical reality, interacting with each other, but also an actor who is making it happen. So some sort of causal effect that comes from the outside of that. So most of the existing way of looking at our reality has been through either efficient or material cause. And the two causations that have been kind of ignored for a long time have been final causation and formal causation. The final causation is the intention. It's the final intent for what is going to happen. So because of that, you have asking a question within horary, or asking a question within the context of the I Ching, it somehow is having this kind of formal causation intention that is somehow aligning with these underlying, mathematical structures of probability. Most of these things have...
That started in 2012, right?
Yeah, that was when the Kickstarter for the Oculus Rift came out in August of 2012. And there's a lot of things that were kind of leading up to that in terms of the a breakthrough innovation where a lot of the technology had been there in terms of the screens from phones, the IMUs, and all these things that allow you to basically put a screen onto your face, and as you move your head, it's able to track your head so that it's able to kind of trick your sensory motor contingencies for believing that you're in another world. So all the hardware technology.
Consultation in Second Life, like I have that one screenshot of me doing a consultation from like 2007 in Second Life with my avatar and the avatar of my client, and it does bring a different, more embodied experience to it, which for some people might be appealing to them in terms of feeling more present in the dialogue with another human being.
Yeah, I think that's where the thing about, when we go to Norwalk, it's such an amazing experience that the Albanians have created over the years.
Okay, I've flipped through a bit there just to give you a vague idea of the range of stuff they were talking about. It really is 5 hours, and although I've only, I guess, listened to 2 hours before the show here, I'm sure I could quite happily have kept on watching it all afternoon here in the UK. Yeah, I highly recommend it there, even if you only just go in and get a little taster. I mean, they cover so much in the first 2 hours, quite frankly, that the only thing I suspect is if I was watching that in full, I would definitely need a break. I'd have to put it on pause, for half an hour at some point, just to reflect on what's been covered before it goes into even more. But anyway, that is a great one. So yeah, you can view it from my link, of course. Right, now, a few weekends back, what was it, 3 weeks ago now, basically, our last show was a 2-weeker because the weekend before we'd been at the Open Sim Community Conference, and during that, I had 2 lunchtime panels talking about the future, basically, and I've put them here. They're on this channel you're watching now, in fact. And I imagine there'll be a re-edited version or something coming on Abacon's channel later. But so these are just my 2 panels, not the whole darn conference or anything like that. But looking back to the future was the Sunday panel, where I was joined by Dusan Reiter, or Doug Thompson, as some people know him, and Dr. Fran Babis, basically. Let's just see what we got there. I'll have you know, we had better music and a whole load of things back then. Which there we are. Yeah. And the one beneath it is the Saturday one, which is talking about the new open source metaverse. And we had Ivo Henning and Adam Frisbee and Dale from Vicadia too. So obviously I put them on my channel so you can listen to them.
Take ideas and interesting ideas.
And also the people on them can see them too. They're 50 minutes each, so they're not short, but they're probably a bit shorter than this show is normally. So there you go. Right, other ones coming in from elsewhere. The Metaverse Diaries #4. Looking at Epic Games and their metaverse and Fortnite and stuff. Glad to see that not everybody is talking about the God Emperor Zuckerberg. And here we are. How companies are already building the metaverse. Right. This is a clip actually from CNBC, a big media channel, of course.
I don't want to say I'm disappointed to see you, but I was hoping to see your avatar.
You will see more of my avatar. You just saw my avatar for the tease, right? So we have to mix it up. We're still in this hybrid world, right? Andrew, so Mark Zuckerberg said that it'll be a decade before the metaverse is truly realized.
Right. I was quite impressed by this woman, actually, given that it's a mainstream news commentator. She's the senior media and tech reporter. And she actually covers a lot very intelligently.
That Meta just launched out of beta. Meta is also working to bring remote workers into a similar virtual space.
So on that end, we will be diving into some of the new milestones that could be coming for the metaverse to make it more accessible. That's coming up tomorrow, Andrew.
Okay, so you did two things that were fascinating me. One was you talked about Decentraland, which is a sort of digital world where people actually are buying real estate. They're buying digital real estate. And I remember when I first heard of this idea, I couldn't get my
Decentraland and in Roblox. So that's already happening. And so that's what's so interesting to me about this, is that this is not truly a metaverse virtual goods that they can't take out of those worlds for the most part. So I think that we're already really seeing these behaviors take hold. And I think that it's interesting when you look at a device like this, this isn't plugged in. You don't have to plug this in. And the key thing, Andrew, especially in Roblox, you're probably aware of this because you're
Okay, well, I can't play the whole thing there. It's nearly 5 minutes. I noticed rather unusually, she referred to Second Life in there somewhere, but where it is in the 5 minutes, I don't know. So much for flashing forward there. Okay, now Kent By again. I can't believe this. I mean, as if his own, what is it? It must be. Oh, this was funny. I saw a blog in the week and it had the hashtag 202020. And I thought it was the 2022nd edition of Voices of VR. Because of the way they phrased it. And then I suddenly clicked, hang on, I know he's done a lot, but we're only in the thousands. We're not in 2000 yet. But it was just so funny that I saw the blog and thought, oh, another one for Ken. But even he hasn't got quite up to the 2000s yet. Right. But this is another one where it's an interview with him. And look at the future of AI and VR live. Well, it was live then anyway. Oh, that's it. It's a show called Singularity Lab. Basically,
sounded like Stranger Things theme.
Quite possibly is.
And we are live. Welcome everybody to the Singularity Lab, your home for breaking stories in science, technology.
I'm not going to do it myself because of time, etc., etc. But obviously, you can go to YouTube and watch these yourself. All you have to do, if you've got here through my Twitter feed or whatever, is simply click on the. Well, we'll find an example here, or maybe not. Yeah, you just click on the arrow. Basically, it starts playing. But if you click on that, it will take you through to YouTube. You can also do it by clicking up there. It's sort of jumping you through to YouTube is easy as hell, really. Right. So there was a holiday special, 20th of December here, from This Week in XR, the Charlie Fink podcast with his Ted Schilowitz partner. Oh, yeah. Okay, this one did actually have a video again. The video is missing quite a few weeks now, but they did get back to video for this one. There has been another one, I think it was yesterday or something, but it doesn't have a video yet. So it's in my list somewhere as a link to the audio version, but not the video version. But this one was a kind of holiday special. The new one, in fact, is a New Year special too. Okay, moving back. What is this? Oh yes, this is another one. Well, James would probably know more about this than me. It was this. Unlike my panels, which I extracted from the feed, this was another workshop that actually happened at the OSCC conference, but not during the 2 days of the conference. So it was posted somewhere separately.
And I run a little study team almost 2 years ago to the dick.
And I've really been naughty here, but there is James. Hello, James.
Hello. Yeah. I was facilitating. That's right.
Yeah. Saitan Madonna, who's around and about quite a lot, and Selby Evans, Thinker Melville. I'm not sure who RD is, or I'm not sure who it is. Oh, and Adrian McDowell, I know of her. Yeah, but it was like an interesting, little talk about composing for the new era, an operational definition of the metaverse. A bit techie on that side of things, but anyway, I thought worthy of grabbing it, especially as it's not on the on my main list of filming for the conference weekend itself. Moving further down, December 17th. When was our last show? I can't remember. It must have been
December.
Yes, exactly. I think it's probably about. I can't remember. Never mind. December 5th. This was between realities. I think this is their last VR podcast of the year. He's got his helmet on. I mean, his hat.
I want a Santa helmet.
Oh, yeah, Santa hat is fine.
You need a Santa helmet.
I don't know why I've got so used to calling any of the headwear helmets that I got that one. I put my foot in it there, didn't I?
No,
okay. Yeah. Yes. Oh no, I don't know. We've all been spoiled by the Zuckerberg helmets. Right, the VR verse. Episode 3, living it up with Atom Bomb Body. Right, this is from one of those virtual worlds called Live. Actually, they're a fairly reasonable one. Actually, basically they're looking at various things here, including Vives, Ready Player One, the Metaverse, the VR verse, the anything else verse, and the Red Pill. Reference there to, of course, the rebooted version of one of the inspirations for a lot of these things actually was, of course, the Matrix. Sort of, I think the original inspiration. Well, Kent Bai's history lesson will take you a long way back, I tell you. He manages to come up with something from, I think, the very late 1800s as a forerunner to VR. Anyway. Yeah, and yet another interview with Kent Bai, which was on December 16th. So if you're not a fan of Kent Bai, you can remove 3 of these. But I mean, he's so engaging. I mean, the new 5-hour one, because it's relentless. And I was thinking, is unbeknownst to me, is Kent actually a supercomputer in a human body? He knows it. Multidisciplinary, but all the information in his head, and it's just instant recall. He is hard to keep up with. I remember interviewing him myself. So anyway, that's all the stuff there, which you'll find on my Mastodon.social account, but which is basically I keep all the old videos. And embeddable ones that aren't in the regular thingy. However, we're not over with yet. I showed you this at the beginning, didn't I?
Mm-hmm.
I did, didn't I? Yes. It's a nice ambient thing. I thought I'd start the show with. Didn't actually start the show with it, but never mind. Right, this is in VR chat. I thought it looked rather nice. There's no actually avatars in this, as far as I remember, but line before we came on air, James and I have actually been talking about possibly setting something up in VR chat, which we will let you know about when it happens, of course.
Right.
It ain't happened yet, as they say. This is actually quite pretty, The music helps a lot too. So yeah. That's halfway through. I'm not going to play all of it, but what? Snowy New Year. This is another one. That was great. I almost wanted to nick that as our opening until I realised it was somebody else's advert.
Right.
And another sort of virtual. This This is the real world, by the way, but it's got that virtual feeling to it. I think it's actually called the Lice Garden or something. I can't remember much else about it, and it's not credited on the clip there, but it's nice. And
you don't know where in the world that is? Is it UK?
I think it's... No, I think it's maybe France or in Europe, I think. I can't be sure. It could be anywhere, really.
Right.
Yeah. The what I pulled it out of something else, and something else was telling me more about where it was, but of course I... you know, it's a bit like pictures. You pull them up, and if there's no credit on the picture, you think, "Oh, I can't remember where I got that one from." You know. So, anyway, that's enough for those videos for now, because that's all that's in there for now. Okay. So, I'm now back. Over on the other side of my screen here, I've got our feed for Metaworld News, and I'm just having a look here to see if there's any...
Nope. No chats. Nope.
No. Oh, sorry, not the... No, on the side of my screen here, Metaworld News at Twitter.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Yeah, nothing on YouTube either.
Yeah, a couple of things to pull through here.
People are still recovering from New Year's, I suspect.
Yeah. Well, we get replays, so that's no problem. Right, this is the site called Hypergrid Zone. And they seem to publish sort of links to various open sim worlds from time to time. This one is, Happy New Year 2022, and from DigiWorld, which is an open sim hypergrid enabled grid. And I don't know if you'd have to click through to the main site there. I think it's really just a roundup. I don't know whether it's possibly stuff that's actually already happened, or the actual site that maybe has links to stuff coming up. Okay. This is virtualityreporter.com. That'd be nice. Load up, please. Right. This is about a company called Dreamium Labs, who can transform your selfie into an interactive NFT avatar. Now, go figure. I don't know. These look a bit weird. This, this is like Ready Player One's idea, isn't it? But you're not going to get an avatar per se. You're going to get a non-fungible trinket avatar. Don't quite know what that means. Basically, you'll be able to use it in something called Dreamscape Open Metaverse. Everybody's now becoming an open metaverse, you'll notice. It's a blockchain platform, so it can't be fully open, can it? So NFT metaverse platform allows anyone to join and participating by taking a simple selfie. I forget whether it's Ready Player One or some other company when they began. You were able to make an avatar and export it and then re-import it to wherever you wanted. But they also had a really basic virtual world you could use your avatar in. Just to sort of show it off. I don't really know that. I mean, Ready Player One have actually got this sorted because, they're in about 1,000 different platforms. And if you go to their site, it's like a hypergrid portal. You can just choose. They provide you with links to the worlds or spaces where you can take your avatar to. So it's a bit like jumping from one world to another. They all work on the web by and large. But other than that, they share support for Ready Player One's, Ready Player Me, sorry, avatars, which is really sort of the way it should be. In fact, I rather regret not getting somebody from Ready Player Me on our talks recently, but that's, don't know. only occurred to me afterwards how useful that would have been. Right. Anyway, so this is a post about Dreamium Labs, and putting this one away. Oh yeah. This may be of interest to you, those of you followers. Like, as you know, we're broadcasting here from Sansar, and there was a scare for a few hours about a week ago. That it gone somewhere, but it hadn't, as we saw in that video. But Inara Pei is a very good fellow blogger who does a lot of research before she writes her blogs as well. She's mostly blogs about things in Second Life, but she published this one on Sansar, and she mentions the scare, and it went offline for a short period of time, and all the indignation, etc., etc. But she then looks into the background of Wookiee Technologies, who run Sansar, and nothing really amiss, but what did surprise me, I certainly didn't know about here, although I don't really know if it really has anything desperately to do with the platform's stability at the moment. But where is it? Oh yeah, okay. Okay, there is the Superior Court of California is listening to a case on course for a potential trial by jury following demands filed by the court, blah blah, in November. Somebody called Mr. Freed. It doesn't give the first name here, but Mr. Freed, or maybe I should call him Fried, or maybe he'll even get fried by the court. Who knows? Mr. Fried, the Wookiee failed to honour commitments they allegedly made to him concerning salary and reimbursement of relocation fees from Florida to California, and further failed to honour an alleged $1 million US bonus payment for which he's seeking recompense. The case has seen both sides file claim and counterclaim, motion and countermotion, but it's noted about both parties filed demands to move to a trial in late November last year, that was. And yeah, it sounds like the trial will actually happen on June 27th of this year. Heard in the course of the Honourable Suzanne Ramos Bolanos. Gosh, golly, she's a nice lady. Now, the idea that admittedly the platform was built by Lyndon Labs, but Wookiee bought that platform. The idea that Wookiee would actually be paying a $1 million US bonus payment to get a hold of this guy on top of his salary and reimbursement for the relocation is stretching it a bit, in my opinion. I mean, maybe he's an absolute genius at marketing or something, and they thought they needed him and they were willing to pay. But I'd always gathered that, you know, they weren't exactly a rich company. And in fact, even now, all their income is still handled by Lyndon Labs. If you buy products in Sansar, you actually pay Lyndon Labs or Lyndon something or other, who obviously handle it, you know, via their financial hub on behalf of Sansar. So, you know, I don't know. That just seems to be $1 million US as a kind of, what was it called again? Bonus payment for somebody who never actually turned up for work. Come on. Anyway, it's going to court. So they do point out here that if for some reason this didn't go Sansar's way, where are the figures here? I've got them here. Right, Sansar's actually valued at $3.78 million US. So if they were to lose $1 million US, that's you know, over a quarter of their capital. And of course, if they had to pay salary recompenses and the rest too, who knows? But anyway, that was a little bit of background. So you find that at the twitter.com/Metaworld newsfeed. And also, Hypergrid Safari is back. Now, it won't be starting for another couple of weeks yet, helmed as ever by a Thursday member. But hgsafari.blogspot.com is the reinvigorated blog. It's actually the old blog, but I say reinvigorated because it's had a kick in the arse, hasn't it? something in it again. HGSAFARA ARI, sorry, .blogspot.com. And well, this post, this is a bit whimsical actually. They were playing some kind of game with Ubisoft. The Outbreak Sim, which is a zombie sort of thing. A few of these have got interesting recently, just as in the real world media, you know, sort of films and TV series that concern outbreaks and epidemics seem to be quite popular. And I can't explain why, but I can actually, even I keep, you know, one of the first things I replayed when the pandemic came was Contagion, the movie from a few years ago. Great movie and so close to reality at the time. And I've actually just finished watching. Well, it hasn't finished yet, but 9 of the 12 episodes, I think, of something called. Never mind, I've forgotten what it's called already. Yeah. I watched it last night, but yeah. But, you know, all these sort of post-apocalyptic things. I mean, some are quite hopeful because they deal with resurgence after collapse. Others just shoot them up, you know. He's got the plague, he's got the lurgy, he's a zombie. Except it's not a zombie because he didn't rise from the ground, but he's as good as a zombie, so shoot him, please. Bang, bang. Yes. You get no points for that because you missed. Oh, gosh, you've eaten me. There's another great comedy out. I'm going off subject here. You may have heard of. I watched a few nights ago. Don't Look Up, it's called. Mm-hmm. It's hilarious. It's not the biggest comedy ever. A lot of people think it's the ultimate comedy. But it is funny. There's a lot of humour in places. But what you have, the funniest thing I've seen for ages, is the extra scene after the end credits. This is a Marvel trick. But let's just say it involves one of the lead actors. And it is just... it's awful, but it's hilarious. I'm not going to spoil it for those of you who haven't seen it. Maybe I'll mention it another time. It's a final scene to the sort of. I take it you haven't seen this, James.
Oh, I've seen it. Yeah.
You have.
It frankly, it depressed me quite a bit, but.
Yeah, it's
so very true, and much like the movie Idiocracy, if you've seen that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a while ago. Yeah, I mean, you know, the person playing the tech guru and stuff like that. It was. I mean, you know, you never know. You know, the weight. You know, the people that the authorities consider to be experts these days. I mean, you know, they've posted their own fake news. You pump themselves off and convince a politician that you are the world's expert on something you know nothing about. But no, but I'm sure you agree that final scene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I appreciated the humor, but it felt terribly familiar to where we're at in our culture, at least in the United States.
I think that was one of the intentions,
right?
You know, so but whether that's metaphor, as it were, and the humour gel well together and stand up, I'm not quite sure, but I enjoyed it. It was wrong, but I would, you know, I like my serious science fiction. I like humour in dialogue, but I don't like humour for the sake of it. You know, especially as it's most people's idea of humour. I don't find funny. So.
Right.
Anyway, so this is really just a way of telling you that hgsafari.blogspot.com is there, and going back a week or two, basically it's the previous 2 posts here were destinations, basically, which was what made it particularly interesting, and it will be a supplement to the safaris when they get started again in a couple of weeks. So Ready Player Me got their money. We've done that. Open mics, Sansar events. I should point. This is something else that's there's no calendar entry I can get for this separately except here at Sansar. But well, that was last Tuesday, but it'd be the same this Tuesday, I think. They have an open mic. Sometimes it's just Q&A and like what you think of this, that, and the other. Other times it's actually it's a open forum discussing quite serious stuff. So it's hosted by Team Music Oasis. Dr. Fran, who I always think of as the host, is usually there, but I mean she's been a bit busy recently. But 8 to 9:30 p.m. UK time here in Sansar every Tuesday evening, which will be 12 noon Pacific time. Of course, these dates are all in UK time. And here's one of the earlier ones from H.G. Safari, and this was one where she actually went, prompted by Maria Koloff, oddly enough. She was prompted to go and visit Graham Mills's Liverpool History Project on Kitely and talk about it. So it gives you an idea of the flavour of maybe where the safari will be going when it starts up again. So I think that's it. There is other stuff there, but I knew there was stuff I wanted to put in for Metaworld News there. So I can flip that back to the main channel, and we're Dunnity Dun-Duns.
All right.
So to say. Yeah, and I've lost all my pictures to put on screen, haven't I? Let's just see if I can find us a closing picture again. And where did it go? There we are. Come on. Say goodbye one final time to the year 2021, wasn't it? The one we're saying goodbye to.
2021's gone.
There we are.
I'd say good riddance.
Oh yeah, actually there are actually a few pictures which there's one. Well, I haven't loaded it into this folder, but it sort of goes from 2020, to 2021. It crosses out 2021. And the next one is 2022, and it crosses that one back to 2020. Yeah. Every year following 2020 is back to 20. Anyway, yeah, that doesn't really work unless you sit in context. Yeah. Okay. So, any thoughts, James, for the year closing or comments?
Yeah.
On what?
Not being a 8-year-old, my Oculus Quest 2 is not sitting on the shelf. I have been using it quite a bit and enjoying it immensely. And I think that's that's my comment. Enjoying the metaverse and pondering what it may or may not be.
As do we all, indeed. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of that, pondering. It's a good habit to have. So you still got a brain when you can still ponder.
When you can still think, that's right.
You can still ponder on things. How long is it now you've had the Quest, by the way?
Well, I had the Quest 1, and before that I had the Odyssey, which was a Windows mixed reality headset. So it's been a couple years, I would guesstimate.
So well, I won't call it the novelty of the helmet. The idea of having a helmet on for all this stuff is not losing its. I won't say
no, not at all.
It could never lose its appeal, but you don't feel sometimes it's a drain being in there.
I get tired. I definitely get tired, but I'd get tired if I was skiing. And I don't ski all day long. I put on skis to ski for a short time, and then I stop skiing. And that's how I use the headset.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's my attitude myself, really, except for the weight of the... But that's just me, if I was younger.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's interesting. So I shall wish you a brave new year in your helmet.
Thank you.
And elsewhere, too, of course. But
and I'll wish you a brave new year as well.
Yes, exactly. And we will be, we will be back. I think we can say this week we'll be back same time, same place next week.
I think so.
Unless
Barring any unforeseen circumstances.
Precisely. Like Sansal's vanishing or anything like that. But we always have a way round these things.
We have a plan.
We have plenty of locations where we can park our avatars and for different kinds of shows and stuff. And this news show can be done from just about anywhere, quite frankly. It does require my desktop. But apart from that, yeah. Right, okay. Well, we'll wish them all well. So let's see if we can do one of our... How do we do our sign-out things? Oh, yeah. When it comes to MR, XR, AR, VR, just remember that here at Metaworld News, we are. Yeah. Funny that, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Now I've forgotten what we are. Yeah, okay. So, we will wish you well until we're back this time next week. You can always catch up on my personal channel, Mal Burns, at YouTube. All our back episodes are filed there, so you can find them at any time you want. Plus a few specials like the OCC2 that I mentioned earlier. And beyond that, all I can say is that pandemic ain't over, of course. It may be a new year. And that's why I call it a brave new year rather than a happy new year. Look after yourselves. Stay at home. Work from home. Don't go out. Order from shops and then make the delivery man walk under the UV light before he gets to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a limit to what you can do, isn't there? But nevertheless, I'm glad to hear that in most of the world they're doing a much better job of managing the situation than our own Boris. Even Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland are doing better than Boris, so there you go. What can I say? I'm disgusted with this man. And also, just on the closing thought here, it's a boom for virtuality and on the online worlds and things that we can be online. Imagine this happening before we had even the internet or something. But it's now the only restriction in Britain at the moment is it's compulsory. I don't like that word. It's like very authoritarian, but I approve in this case. It's compulsory to wear face masks when you go into a supermarket or an enclosed space where there are other people. In other words, it's the law. Now, in the first lockdown, that was obvious. Even the shops had, hand washing stations at the door, and they would give you free masks and stuff. You couldn't get in unless you had one on, basically. But all that's gone now. Even though it's still compulsory, nobody's checking. And I went into Whole Foods. I went into Boots, which is a chemist. I went to Marks and Spencer's food store, which is food, again, touchable stuff. And a supermarket called Waitrose. In all of them, and particularly, oddly enough, in Boots the Chemist and Whole Foods, I would say that only about 40% of people in those stores were actually wearing a mask. And that now, although it's compulsory, there was nobody willing to kick them out for not wearing a mask. I actually went to a staff member in Whole Foods and said, "Look, there's 3 people there without masks on, chatting away, and can't you get rid of them?" And say, it's just I can't be bothered. It's sort of given the work they put into it. And making sure everything was as risk-free as possible the first time round. The fact that they aren't now, when this one's even more transmissible, well, go figure. I just hope Boris gets it again. Well, it doesn't recover, maybe, is the polite way of saying it. Anyway, I should not be talking about that here, but it does incense me, rather. I'm not an authoritarian. But believe me, we need to be wearing masks and having our shots and everything else. And if people disagree with this, then maybe Elon Musk can do something about transporting them off planet to a new Australia or something. Right. Having said that, the idea is to tell you all to stay indoors, work at home if you can, put your masks on, protect yourself and everything, and just stay well. And it will probably be a little bit better when summer comes because the heat evaporates stuff quicker. But what the hell? We will see you next week. Stay safe. Bye. Good night.